Today we're gonna be taking a look at one of the most dramatic games in the history of chess. The game from the World Championship match from 1987 between Karpov and Kasparov. In this game, Kasparov made a terrible blunder which was brilliantly exploited by Karpov. Let's see if you can find it out. Karpov is playing white, Kasparov is black, and it is black to play at the moment. Right now the position is approximately equal. Of course, it's still a pretty complicated situation. The right way for black was probably to play bishop to b4 to trade off his bad bishop, which is currently doing nothing, and it's locked by its own pawn, and the position remains to be balanced. However, Kasparov really wanted to win this match, and therefore he needed to win this game, and therefore he found a really interesting combination which he thought would bring him a very impressive victory. He played rook to f3. Now, what's the point? Why is Kasparov giving up the rook? The point is, after white accepts the sacrifice and black recaptures by the rook, this rook attacks the pawn on h3 and therefore the white's king, and also simultaneously it attacks the white's queen on d3. If white wants to save the queen, somehow he must move it away, let's say somewhere to e2, but in that case black would grab the pawn on h3, of course, attacking the white's king. It is check. The only thing white can do is to move the king to g2, but then black can continue chasing the white's king by playing rook g3 check, and after the king goes to h2 or h1, h2 is probably slightly better, black can also have a really powerful continuation. He can play pawn to d3, which enables his dark square bishop to take part in the attack, and simultaneously he's also attacking the white's queen. This is what Kasparov was hoping for when he played that move rook to f3. Let's take a step back and see that starting position of this example. Kasparov just played rook to f3, hoping for the following impressive victory. Let's see what happened next in the real game. As you can see, Karpov is a little bit reluctant to grab the rook, but then he does it, and then he delivers check also to win some time for thinking, because as we can see, both of them are in time trouble, and now you gotta find the winning move. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it, because it's not easy to find the winning move, and if you can find it, please let me know, write it down in the comments below. As we already know, moving the white's queen away is rather losing for white, and therefore you gotta find something else. If you could find it, great. If not, don't worry, it's not a simple tactics. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what happened. Karpov plays bishop h6, boom, and all of a sudden we can see that this move is actually winning the game on the spot, and it's really interesting also to see the Kasparov's reaction. As you can see, Kasparov is shocked, he's looking away from the board, he realizes that he's just losing and there is nothing he can do. Let's look at the chessboard and see what happened here. As we already know, in this position, instead of moving the queen away from the attack, Karpov played bishop h6. Really sudden and really powerful counter blow. The white's idea is that he wants to deflect the black's queen from the protection of the rook, and therefore if black actually captures the bishop, which is probably not the right thing for black to do, white would simply recapture this rook, and white is clearly winning. He has a significant material advantage. That's why black has to do something else. But what else can he do? In the game, Kasparov took the queen. He took rook takes d3, but then Karpov recaptured the black's queen on f8. And here it's pretty clear that black's attempt to sacrifice a rook and then to go after the white's king actually failed, because it's already an endgame and there is nothing black can do to checkmate the white's king. If black would just recapture the bishop here on f8, which he could do, but it still gives white a winning position. He has the rook versus the bishop, which gives him the material advantage, and Karpov would certainly win this game easily. Therefore, instead, Kasparov desperately tried to complicate matters, and he takes rook takes h3 check. And it's actually a pretty tricky variation, because after king g2, he goes rook g3, another intermediate check, and after the white king goes to h2, Kasparov took the rook on g1. And at first it seems like just an easy win for white, because white can take the bishop, which he actually did. And now it seems like, white is just ahead of in material. He has this extra bishop, his pawn is about to go forward and be promoted into the next queen. It looks like very easy win for white, but Kasparov was going into this line not for nothing. He played d3, and that was the point of his idea. And now, all of a sudden, he wants to promote a new queen, which he would do, for instance, if white would capture the rook, which is a bad mistake. Black would play pawn to d2. There is no way for white to stop black from playing d1 and promoting a new queen. However, this combination for black doesn't work as well. It clearly was not the Kasparov's day at that day, because actually there are many ways for white to stop this pawn from moving forward, and let's not forget that right now he has an extra bishop, and therefore he can stop this pawn from moving forward just by playing bishop to b4 or bishop to e3, for example. And once the pawn is stopped, there is nothing that black can do. All in all, it's clearly winning for white, and Kasparov actually just resigned without even waiting for white to play bishop to e3. Now let's come back to the starting position. It's been a pretty impressive game. Could you find the winning shot after the black's move rook to f3? Well, regardless, I hope that you enjoyed the game, and if you enjoy Karpov's style in general just as much as I do, because I think that together with Capablanca, these are probably the two players with the most clear positional style of playing, then you would also be happy to know that we just developed a new course about Anatoly Karpov where we break down exactly how he managed to play so great positional chess. You can check out the details by following the link down below in the description, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Stay tuned, all the best.